Hey beautiful people, welcome back to Angelic Embrace, where we document and narrate the glorious and life-changing near-death experiences sent in by you guys. It is greatly appreciated. So sit back, relax, know that you are loved, and let's get into today's near-death experience story. Consider subscribing and watching to the end to find out what happens. My daughter and I were having a conversation while I was seated on the couch at my brother's house before the events transpired. She greeted me with the words, "Mommy, I love you. I'm going to continue my journey outside. I'm going to go play." I responded, "Okay." I recall that everything began moving in slow motion and playing out as though I were watching a television broadcast of my life play out instead of living it myself. Then, without any prior warning, the television program abruptly ended, and there was a period of silence like a commercial break. Then everything started again, as if it were a repeat of the same show, only everything happened backwards this time. I had no idea what anyone was talking about, and I had no idea why I was staring at myself while I was seated on the couch. After that, all of a sudden, I had the sensation of being hurled back on top of my body, with my head coming first. I couldn't help but wonder why on earth I was being given another opportunity in life. Why didn't I just remain in the grave? Then I became aware that I could hear my brother yelling at my sister-in-law. I immediately became concerned. I recall getting punched in the chest and then being given chest compressions. This nightmarish experience continues to torment me, yet it was certainly not yet my time to depart from this world. My spouse, my son, and both of my children still require my assistance. I have a clear recollection of my spirit leaving my body, then regaining my awareness subsequently, and then coming back to my body while receiving CPR. My symptoms of PTSD have unquestionably become more severe as a result of this. I did not encounter a celestial entity. Simply put, it was a terrifying experience. Onward to the following NDE. When I was 12 years old, I had a brush with death when I almost drowned. Before this event had place, I already had the impression that I was a bit of a strange bird. Nonetheless, I did my best to conceal this fact from others and frequently from myself as well. I had the feeling that my parents were not my source and that there was a purpose for me to be in this place even though I knew I would never feel completely at home here. I was aware that I was being guarded and led at all times. My predictions have always turned out to be accurate. I was aware that I was experiencing a type of fatigue that could not have been generated on Earth. I was aware of the many lives that I had lived in the past, though there were some that I chose not to acknowledge because of how much I have evolved. But now I can say that I have accepted, embraced, and gained wisdom from each of those lives. And I had the impression that I will never get over the feeling that home is where I belong to be. My feelings of isolation are constant, but I've become accustomed to them through time and have learned to accept them. Because I had just recently come to the Netherlands and did not yet know how to speak or understand the local language, I ended myself drowning. The words "no swimming" were printed on a sign that was placed next to the pond. This was as a result of the potentially lethal whirlpools. I never had a fear of water and thought of myself as a competent swimmer thanks to the fact that I had spent a significant portion of my life living close to rivers and oceans. It was a sunny day, and my buddy Elk and I decided to go for a stroll along the dike that is located near Rijswijk. As soon as we were close to the sea, Elk started strolling down one of the sides. I took a little rest before plunging into the water in an effort to lower my body temperature. I had just entered the water when I had the impression that the water in the Netherlands is so much more chilly and murky than ours. Suddenly, I got the impression that someone had seized both of my legs and was attempting to bring me to the ground. My first reaction was, there must be some kind of creature in this water. I felt myself being pushed down, and the only thing I could see was how the light was fading away gradually. I attempted to swim to the top like I had done numerous times before in the ocean when you dive and want to come back up. But it looked as though I was going deeper and deeper. I was aware that if I let out a breath, that would be my very last opportunity to do so. A voice said, "Let go." As a result, I let go, and the feeling of fear that I had been experiencing vanished, and I was overcome with a sense of calm. The following thing that I noticed was a body that was floating face down in the sea. I was having a very positive and relaxing experience up to the point when I recognized that I was the one having it. But how is that even possible? I am currently present. Who is it then? I have almost no feelings whatsoever regarding my body, other than the fact that it is my package. This is it, folks. This is the real me. although it seemed like I was getting further and further away from my body, and I know that when I glanced down to see where my legs and body should have been, there was nothing there. Instead, I felt like I was more whole than I ever had before. I attempted to get a feel of whether or not I felt more like a man or a woman, and although it seemed as though I had more feminine energy, I had the distinct impression that I could have been either. I felt myself being pulled upwards at the same moment as I heard a loud peeping sound. When I turned to look around, I realized that the sound was coming from myself. At the same time, I became more aware of the specifics of my surroundings. I was aware of a strong presence to my right, which I later realized was my guardian angel. During the time that I was becoming aware of him, there were two shadowy figures approaching from his left side in order to take me with them. I thought I heard my angel exclaim, "Leave her alone, she is one of us." But no, it was only my imagination. As soon as he finished speaking, the shadows vanished while appearing irritated. My peeping sound persisted while I was directed further upward, and while I was watching the explosion of colors, slow music sounded from all sides. While I was seeing the explosion of colors, I was led further aloft. In addition to this, I was able to see and feel everything going on around me simultaneously. The clarity of the music increased with time, and when I finally asked myself what genre of music it was, I realized that it was classical music. Never once did I ever listen to it when I was a kid. I was able to hear that the frequency of my tone is included with the others, and that collectively, we form a unique piece of music in the universe each and every time. My protector was still there and gave me the reassurance that my next journey would be risk-free despite having a little reduced amount of light. And that is exactly what transpired. In the film of my life, there was something of a gloomy passageway that was altered. It reminded me more of the pond in which I passed out and drowned. Everything was happening all at once, and I was able to see, hear, feel, and experience it all. When I saw how devastated my parents would be if I didn't come back, I realized that I was experiencing a lot of anger as well as sadness. Together, we made it through the battle, and now they will lose me in this way. My mom would be in a lot of pain if this happened. I was made acutely aware of this, and it caused me a great deal of suffering. It's possible that my dad is feeling very much the same way. In the future, my younger brother will miss having a relationship with me. I saw numerous various depictions of my life that genuinely revealed my destiny to me. The people I would interact with, the circumstances I would find myself in, and the experiences I would have to go through all seemed to be necessary for me. I was informed that I play a significant role in my family and that I am responsible for assisting them on their path to enlightenment. This panorama of life came to an abrupt end, and I proceeded farther down the tunnel. However, the walls of the tunnel suddenly turned translucent, and I could see the whole universe through them. When I got there, the entrance of the cloud was sort of spherical, and it was quite brilliant. I hovered there and was instructed that I might take a quick peek. When I did, I noticed a vast number of light creatures standing in something like a row, and they appeared to be having what appeared to be an agitated conversation that was also fairly serious. Strangely, while I was questioning myself about what this was, the answer came out of myself as well. It was as if I had previously known it and only needed to recall it. These aliens are now in the process of preparing to assist humanity on Earth. Help is urgently required for the planet Earth. My recollection from childhood is of being suspended in space above the planet and hearing the words "help, help." When I thought about it again, I recalled that this is what it was. I was allowed to float above these luminous beings for a while, but that was as far as I could go. Next, I overheard someone say, "We're going." Instantaneously, I found myself back in a passageway leading toward a destination that, the closer I came to it, the better it made me feel. It dawned on me all of a sudden that if I get there, there is no way I can go back. The statement "you're going back" was spoken by a voice that appeared to emanate from every direction. It was such a letdown for me. I had feelings of love and serenity, as well as a sense of returning home, and now it is time for me to depart. I tried refusing, but they kept pulling me back. The next instant, when I opened my eyes while still submerged underwater, I saw a voice telling me to swim to the surface. I proceeded to do that, and it felt like it only took a few of strokes until I was at the surface. I emerged from the water with a loud splash and a puzzled expression on my face, thinking, what in the name of God was that? Elk was positioned on the bank, and her expression conveyed both astonishment and fear as she gazed in my direction. She pointed her finger in my direction to let me know that she had been looking for me. I started to shiver and decided to sit down. She layered a sweatshirt on top of me. I have no idea how we were able to save up enough money for our pensions. I am aware that we are walking, yet it appeared as though we had not yet arrived at our destination. I was someone else, it seemed. That sensation would stay with me for a good many years. I didn't have the courage to tell my mother what had occurred because she was such a strict mama. When I returned home, she noticed that the water had been absorbed by my hair, and as a result, she gave me some grief for going swimming. That night, I couldn't bring myself to go to sleep. I yearned for an explanation of what had transpired to me, but I dreaded the prospect of passing away once more and leaving my parents without a child. As a result of what I had witnessed before, I could sense their regret even now. I awoke the next day and I saw this world, but through it, I also saw what I had seen in the sea the day before. I know this because I remember it. I was unable to focus on anything, and my thoughts were all over the place. I pleaded with God to tell me why He was putting me through this. I heard the response that we would be removing a lot of those memories since it is a bit too much for you all at once, but that you will regain all of them over the course of your life. And that is exactly what transpired. After a while, I stopped seeing distorted visions and instead observed everyday reality. After what happened, I became even more of a closed book than I always was. I had known since I was a youngster that my connection with God was strong, and we had chats about it. But this beyond all of that. After escaping the war with my family, I did not have an easy childhood. I have always been very sensitive, and I was born with memories and experiences that I should not have had. I had the sensation that I had been unique for an inordinate amount of time. Despite my best efforts, this incident made it impossible for me to return to my previous level of functioning. In the meantime, I have completed my 40th year on this planet. My life is filled with so many unforgettable memories that I could fill a whole book with them. It's quite strange that I've been assigned a title for the book that I'm going to be writing already. I have put off dealing with it for the past 28 years due to the fact that it is highly personal and there is a possibility that it will make me vulnerable. However, I am aware that I must do so. In the event that it does not take the form of a book, my earnest goal is that individuals who read it will take something away from it that is meaningful to them, maybe helping them to rediscover or deepen their own connection with our source. Even if it were just for me to read, I know I need write this book. You never stop learning from the time you go through the door until the second you walk out, and I still have a lot more classes to take. As I sit here and write this, I am gaining yet another valuable education even at this very time. Since the very beginning, when I decided that I wanted to live forever and that I should be happy wherever I am, I have repeatedly been presented with the opportunity to learn the lesson that was presented to me during my brush with death. My heart is only functioning at around a quarter of its capability. On the other hand, I am aware that everything is proceeding as anticipated.